There are currently 71 unique animals in Rimworld, and over the next few hundred days I'll attempt to collect one of each kind, while defending myself against raids, mechs, and whatever Randy decides to throw at me. Let's go back to collecting more animals. I began day 101 by taming a rat and attempting to tame a gazelle. The next day I decided to caravan out with Durant. I sold some rice and bought back a psychic shock lens. I also finally destroyed the weather controller. After that I bought a bionic eye from an exotic goods trader that I'll never actually use, and later I tamed a buffalo. I began advancing the research and made a chain shotgun. On day 105 the dumbest thing happens. My heater explodes and my guinea pig catches on fire along with a part of the pan. I managed to send everyone right in time to extinguish the fire before any other animals would get hurt. At least, the next day I had a successful surgery on Are that only took away her pain, but her manipulation stayed the same. Day 107 was a good day, because I found another guinea pig, got a gazelle, and I had Are, while being protected, attempt to tame a rhino, which was a success. The next day, some man-hunting raccoons showed up, and not long after some visitors took care of some of them, but they still died. I did get some good stuff from them, and Durant almost killed everyone. Not long after, a toxic spear. I thought that was a good thing because the raccoons would die this way, but they did not. I think they have really high tox resistance or something, but I don't know. I just waited some more the next day. I was finally able to send Harker out on day 111 and took care of the spear with no problem. The next day I built a comms console for even more trading, and a really annoying eclipse that would last basically the whole next day happened. On day 113, Are got hunted by a warg. That was a terrible decision by him. After I took care of it, I butchered it myself. Not long after, I caravanned out to a nearby settlement to sell loads of rice and some trash, but before reaching them I bought a goat and a ram from a trader, and came back with a pig. On day 116, more partying, and it rained with potato. I failed some taming. Also, there was a mega slot on the map, but he'll have to wait, and a long time it will, because later that day I got the best possible thing, Word of Inspiration Psy Trainer, which will be the main thing I will focus on for the rest of these days, because it would allow me to tame animals risk-free and I wouldn't have to count on trading all the time. But in order to be able to use this, I'd need a Psyling level 5, so I was considering going for the Empire route, but it turned out that it takes too much work to do so I opted for an easier method later. I did get a royal tribute collector, but I had no gold. Instead, I accepted a quest for honor on Durant, just in case, which turned out quite badly to be honest, and that's an understatement. Are got an infection from that fight and she was in for a really close one. I spent the next day looking at her, it was looking bad. And now it looks even worse. She did get better thankfully, but in the end it was just starting to get annoying. But did you think it would be over? No way, here's another raid. At least some of them got taken care of by the cluster. And then I dealt with the rest of them. It went not great. On day 125 I was finally able to rest, and after that Mal came back, and Durant had a mental break and a boom rat did too. And finally peace. Oh, would you look at that, it's a siege. I dealt with it by using the Psy Shock Lance on their best shooters and then just outgunning them. Noriko did get an infection, but she's super immune so she'll be fine. Because at this point I had events that would take days to recover from, I decided to lower the difficulty. At this pace I'd never be able to finish, and my animals would just die of old age. Also, I bought some gold. While Are was installing a prosthetic arm on Harker, which failed, I accepted the quest to fight some bears for honor. The next day, Duran got bestowed and gained his first styling level, Word of Trust. Once Mal was done making a new arm, I had Are install it on Harker again, successfully this time. The next day, I just took care of the base, collected some loot from around the map, like components and ambrosia. The next day I did something quite important. Since getting styling levels with honor was too much of a chore, I decided to get natural meditation type on, who could meditate at the anima tree, which is a much faster way of getting the levels. So I sent out a caravan to a nearby tribal outpost, where I'd be able to find the pawns I was looking for. I did want Aban Cave, but sadly Are hit him a bit too hard. It wasn't much of a loss, since he was too young to link with the anima tree anyway. Instead, I'll rescue Irabe, who's a really good pawn. On day 136, the moment the caravan arrived back, so did the mech cluster. That I just ignored for like 50 days because it was mostly surrounded by walls. After that, not much happened. I just used Word of Trust on Irabe, and that was great because I knew exactly what I had to do going further. And just a bit later he joins. So I had Irabe meditate quite literally all day and do nothing else. I did try to build a wall in case a raid would come, but it was slowing the growth progress by about 15%. So I counted on the fact that Irabe was a joker. I deconstructed the wall and meditated for like the next 3 days. I built a floor to protect the grass from fire, which did happen quite a lot on day 146. My base was constantly on fire. That next day I sent Mol to sell rice and perhaps buy some new animals, because Durant was in a food binge. I did actually buy a cat, it was quite old but she'll do fine. At the same time, the best thing happened. A war merchant who sells toxalops came along. They are extremely rare and one of the 3 animals I wasn't sure how I'd get. An infestation occurred in a small tunnel. It ended quick because I baited them toward the merchants. I was also planning on going to trade to the other village, but it didn't restock yet, so I had to wait one more day. It was Harker's birthday on day 144, and he got a vet back at 46 years old. I mean, he does look old, but 46 is a bit too young for that. Also, Mol stands for malaria, because that's what she gets the next day. I caravaned out with Durant finally, bought gold and sold rice, and I traded with a combat supplier for some components. We threw a party in the middle of a summer heatwave, and I found out Irabe wouldn't be able to meditate due to the extreme temperature. So instead I accepted the quest to protect some Empire civilians for more honor, but I had only a low range weapon and the pig threw grenades right on top of them. Somehow, the mission was completed despite some of them dying. On day 149, I finally got my first styling level on Irabe. It would take around 10 days for each level, which wasn't bad at all. The rhino did get the flu, but he'll be fine. After 150 days, I finally had enough of the meat slowly rotting away, so I lowered the temperature of the whole room. Some travelers barely avoided the mech cluster. I had in total around 8000 hay on the map, which I thought was a bit too much, but it really wasn't. A few days later, I traded away some gold for some honor and began building a throne for Durant, which would be needed to increase his level, and that's the reason I kinda gave up on this path and instead focused on Irabe. Building the throne room did take a few days because of a social fighting. A trading ship with an insane amount of dogs wanted to trade with me, so I just bought some advanced component. I was finally able to increase Durant's title, but with that he started to have even more expectations, like a luxurious bedroom, which I did make. But more importantly, Irabe got Psyling level 2 the next day while some mechs were preparing to attack. On day 160, everything was either on fire or exploding. This is the reason I made a floor around the tree, but it's not that useful when it happens right on top of the tree. This kept going all of the next day as well. I did finally tame a squirrel because I didn't have one yet, and got some rifles because they are more viable. Randy also gave me loads of ambrosia which I would sell. Apparently, malaria is better with friends, so everyone gets it on day 164 during an eclipse. It was really bad on Harker, I'm guessing because his lack of a kidney. That motivated me to research towards a hospital bed. I traded with a combat supplier, but he didn't have anything interesting. At night, a Psy ship with nobody to protect it fell on the map, so I quickly took care of it the next morning. And a plasteel meteor fell from the sky that I never got to mine. On day 170 I got the third sailing level on Irabe. I was able to keep the 10-day space so far, and began building a hospital. But the next day I couldn't meditate anymore because of a cold snap, so Irabe finally got a break from meditation until the next day when it was over. I made some floors around the base so the pawns could move slightly faster around. The horse is back for revenge. On day 175 I sent out a caravan and a war merchant came by. Why does this always seem to happen? But anyway, the merchant did have a work to sell, so I took it in and let it roam free. In town I found a husky, so I brought it home. I tried to tame a Trambo the peaceful way, but it didn't like that idea, so I tried it the hard way, which resulted in its death. I did make some nice dusters out of it. Noriko got inspired taming. I waited a few days before using it in case I'd see something rare. Because the Trambos already left, I'll just tame a mega slot instead. The next day, a warg decided to hunt my own warg while I had people nearby ready to fight. And since I don't like wasting food, I butchered the wild warg. I accepted the quest to fight a Niamai Dynamo for some more honor just in case I'll need it. And for a shirt that I actually forgot about until now. Just look at what these iguanas did to Felix, who is in full flax armor. That's just insane. Anyway, I completed the mission and went home. On day 183, my base was once more under siege, but I quickly retaliated with my own mortars, making them come to my kill box. I did take a prisoner this time, so I'd get a kidney for Harkar. Mol also had a mental breakdown, but that's a really good thing because of her tortured artist trait, which later would give her inspired creativity. Irabe too went on an insulting spree, started a fight with Durant, and also won it. But on a positive note, Mol made a legendary assault rifle that I gave to Irabe, my best shooter. Felix too got an work frenzy. Guess since everybody is losing it, why not? I did make a multi-analyzer to progress my research. On day 188, Are failed to harvest a kidney for Harkar, but she got a heart later in case anyone needs them. After that, I tried to form a caravan, but the cluster was in the way, and I didn't feel like avoiding it while leaving the map, so I finally took it out. With the map cleared, I sent Durant on a slightly longer expedition to the nearby village that didn't have that much stuff, so I went to the next one where I bought a goose, talk shells, and components. By the time Durant got home, some Trambos appeared, but sadly I was almost 2 days of meditation away from unlocking Word of Inspiration, so I had Irabe sleep less and meditate more. I did finally manage to link with the tree and use the Psylink, but it was too late for Trambos. So I inspired Noriko anyway and tamed a grizzly bear. With Irabe finally free after like 60 days of meditation, he would be able to learn to help around the base. I was actually starting to run low on hay at this point, so I had to expand the area even more. On day 197, I began thinking on how I would get the rest of the animals. I did make a transport pod, despite knowing it would be quite impractical. Not long after, I got a smoke spear in the area, so I quickly sent Irabe and Noriko. Once everyone was home, Are tamed another horse because I'll need that to travel more in the next ones. And with that, I ended these 200 days with 31 unique animals, and hopefully I'll be getting the rest of them next time. Also, I'm really annoyed I didn't rename that bear.